Hello and welcome to GameRomp Easy Mode, a podcast where me, David, and
me, Deanna,
talk about video games and how we feel about them in a relaxed and chilled manner where we try to be not too loud and just relax. So anyway, I think today I'm going to start with a topic that's been weighing on me a little bit, which is feelings of guilt, but not about playing games, but more like a feeling of guilt of not playing a game.
I guess I have experience with that.
Oh, really?
Well, in the sense of like, I'll look at my Steam game library and be like, I should be taking time to just relax and play a game, but I have that thing where I always feel like I need to be productive.
Yeah, that's
So
fair.
I just look at all the games that I have and I'm like, I should play something that has like a story or something that I bought recently, and then I just like, I don't know, I get that executive dysregulation thing where it's like I can't get myself to do anything, and then I just sit there and hurt. Does that count?
Actually, that's kind of close to what I was feeling. Okay, so a game that I have bought recently. This is actually a game that I backed on Kickstarter.
The Udian Chronicles.
Yeah, which is, again, just to reiterate, it's basically a spiritual successor to Suikoden. And I love Suikoden. I love Suikoden 1, 2, 3, and 5.
What happened to 4?
I never played 4 because they changed quite a bit, but that's a whole other discussion.
Okay.
So this game was touted to be like, the next game in that kind of series. It's from the same creators. It's got the same kind of gimmick of like, oh, you can recruit over 100 characters into your, RPG town/army thing. Some of the characters you recruit can be like party members in battle, or some of them just run an inn or run a store or take care of a storehouse, etc. One thing that is very different in this game compared to like Suikoden 2, which to me is the best one, but even Suikoden 5 and Suikoden 1 do this pretty well. Those games are pretty fast and zippy. Like, imagine a slow turn-based RPG game. Pokemon comes to mind.
Okay, yeah. The animations take forever.
Yeah. It's funny when you think about it. When you're in Pokemon and you're like wandering through the tall grass and you run into a wild Pokemon, you imagine how long that takes, right? You get the little doodle 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 doodle, and then like the spin thing, and then like the Pokemon comes onto the screen and it goes row or whatever, and then you pick your thing, your attack. Sandshrew uses slash. This other Pokemon uses poison, and it goes back and forth for a little bit, right?
And we should iterate this as the old style Pokemon, not like the new ones.
The new ones are even worse.
But I heard it was slightly better in Legends of Arceus.
But yeah, basically you get the idea. A turn-based RPG can take a while for everything to happen. One of the beautiful things about the really good Suikodens is even though you have a party of 6, they are so fast in the battle. Like,
are they automated in any way?
You can select auto and they'll do like auto attacks. Or if it's a dangerous enemy that you need to think about, you can go in and like choose your attacks more critically and use spells and stuff.
Okay.
But even when you do that, if like say you got 3 dudes in the front, 3 dudes in the back. If they're attacking different enemies or they're attacking the same enemy, but they know that this character is going to defeat the first enemy on the left, the second character will immediately start attacking the enemy next to him. It's really hard to explain in dialogue or talking it over, but it's fast. You'll see like the dudes just jumping around and hitting each other.
Okay.
And like a round of battle will last like basically for 6 characters, maybe even faster than a round of battle would in Pokemon.
Damn.
I'll have to show you in one day we'll play those games together. They really dropped the ball on that for this new game, Udian Chronicles. It just takes forever for battles to go through. You still have 6 characters though, so it not being fast means that it's extra long because you have 6 characters. You have to sit and wait for them to attack, and when you're running through a dungeon and there's random encounters, you really need the battles to be fast, and it's really not. So it feels incredibly tedious to play the game sometimes.
I wonder if they looked back on their old games and didn't think that the faster battles made that much of a difference, or they just didn't, for some reason, the programming just got goofed up.
There's another thing too that's quote unquote interesting about a change they made. In the old games, sometimes characters would have team up attacks. Like in Suikoden 2, if your main character is in the same party as Nanami, like his adopted sister,
Mm.
they could have like a team up attack, and you have to select it, so it's not just something that happens randomly. And they'll attack an enemy together, and there's like a little animation, and it's cute. That animation takes longer than a standard attack, but it's something you kind of have to choose to do, and it's something that only like two characters or more can do together. In this one, each character has special attacks, and if you select auto, they still use those, which on one sense is good because they don't cost any MP or anything to use. But the downside is it takes even longer. Like, this game already was slow even for the auto attacks, but some of the special attacks that they do are incredibly long. Like, one of them is that the girl character runs up, the Nanami stand-in for this game, and she winds up her arm like a cartoon character and then punches the sprites, and then the sprite like shoots off into the sky like Team Rocket. And it's cute, but this is an auto attack that happens a lot, and that's just for one character out of the 6. So it just adds up. Each battle ends up taking so long, and the dungeons are so big with so many random encounters, it just becomes a slog.
Super tedious.
And it makes me sad because I do want to play the game. I like how the sprites look. Like, the game is beautiful, but oh my god, it's just, the battles are so tedious. And I find myself like, oh, I'm going to go play a game. Do I want to play this other game, or do I want to play Eiyuden Chronicles because I backed it. I should be excited for this game. But then I think about those long dungeons and all the tedious battles, and I'm just like, I don't really want to deal with that right now. Another thing, go ahead. I have one more thing about this, but
I was just thinking, like, I don't know if this would necessarily help you in any way whatsoever, but I'm just thinking, okay, you feel that the game itself is very tedious, but what if you say, okay, I'm gonna play this and like time yourself for an hour,
yeah,
and then just play for an hour and then just stop there. But I'm also kind of curious, like, if you did play it for just an hour, how far would you get if these battles are super tedious and the dungeons are super long?
That's an interesting question that I think would be fun to try.
Like, I played this game for an hour, but I made it like fucking 5 steps.
But the thing is, this isn't like a modern game, even though it is a modern game. It was just released this year. It has save points, like old classic save points. So sometimes you won't be able to save for like 45 minutes or an hour. One time I had between save points was like an hour and a half.
Oh, Jesus.
And I'm just like, that's another thing. Knowing that, I'm going to be in this new dungeon. And normally that means you're exploring. You don't know where you're going. You have to figure it out. And that's fine. But there's that like lingering feeling in the back of my head of being like, do I have an hour to commit to this? What if I have to stop for this or that? Or
now you're playing this on PC, right?
yeah.
And this is going to be my first thought. Are there any mods yet for this? Can you mod it at all?
There are a few mods. The most, I think there's like 4 or 5 on the Nexus. 2 of them are just retranslations because some people don't like the localization.
Because I'm just thinking, like, I've played Stardew, and that is also, I mean, you would say a modern game. But sometimes there is the issue of, like, you either play a whole day or you don't bother playing the next day because you only save when you go to bed.
Yeah.
However, there are an absolute shit ton of mods for this game, and one of them is that you can save anytime. I haven't downloaded it personally, but I've seen it. So I'm just wondering, like, do other games that have the ability to be modded have that modded into them?
I haven't seen any mod for that. I would love to see a mod that like would give me a speed up option. It's funny because like
that's fair.
There's an item you can equip on the main character, and it takes up like the accessory slot, and it basically lets you run faster when you're like on the overworld or when you're in a dungeon or whatever, right? So like his movement speed is increased, but there's nothing to make the battles go faster. This is something that I really liked about Unicorn Overlord, for example. Unicorn Overlord is also a game where you have like a squad of up to 5 characters. Granted, you have like multiple squads of 5 characters, so you're usually running like 50 characters or so. And they're all fighting each other. But when you get into the battle, you can hold down one of the buttons to make the movements go way faster.
Or like the animations.
Yeah. So it's like 2 times or 3 times speed. So it goes faster and you can still see what happens. But they also have like, you can just skip the battle.
Yeah, like if you know you're going to obliterate the other party.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing like that in this game. So if when you get into a random encounter, you have to go through the whole thing. You can select auto attack, which makes it so you don't have to like tell character A attack this thing, character B attack this thing, character C attack this thing, character D attack this thing, character E attack this thing, character F attack this thing. You can see how that would take forever.
Yeah.
So when you're in random encounters, auto is usually good enough. And like it is to get through things, but it just still takes so long because like if you were playing Suikoden 2, you hit auto and like everyone just starts going at it. It's really satisfying. In this one, they don't interrupt each other as often. It's not as fast. So it makes battles take a lot longer.
Was there another game series? I want to say it was the E series where you just like bump into them.
Yeah, actually, that's Ease. That basically, yeah, you run into characters and it did a little damage calculation. That's an old game.
Yeah, so it's kind of unfortunate that even an old game like that would have a system to make things go easier if the game knows that you're going to obliterate the other person.
Well, that was the only way of fighting in that game.
Okay. So that was just every battle every time.
Yeah. That game was like Zelda, except
even bosses?
yes, everything.
Huh.
You just crash into things to attack. And like you had to crash into them at like not dead on, but like
from the side?
A slightly off-centered. Because if you do dead on, you both take damage. If you do slightly off-center, like you
could like a surprise attack.
No, because it's like a Zelda game. Everything is real time. Everyone's walking around. It's just that like there was less danger from that side. It's really weird.
Okay.
That game is old and strange. It has really good music, but it's yeah, wow. I didn't expect you to bring up Ease today, but hey, that's interesting.
I don't know why. That's like the one thing I remember from that game is like, hey, you just walk to them and hope for the best.
It is interesting. There are some games that have mechanics for like, you're way too strong for this enemy, so we're gonna let you have different options. And technically, Eiyuden Chronicle and Suikoden both have that in the sense that like, okay, normally when you run into an enemy in like a random encounter, you have attack or you have flee, right? In Suikoden and Eiyuden Chronicle, if you're way out-leveled the enemy, you have an additional option. Flee gets replaced with let go.
Oh, okay. I see what they're doing.
Yeah, and it's basically like a guaranteed flee, basically. Which, you know, is fine. But it still, like, transitions into the battle screen, and then, like, you have to select that. And you don't get XP or money. Whereas a game like Earthbound has the whole, if you run into an enemy, you're way over-leveled. You just instantly win. And you
it's
still get XP.
It's kind of unfortunate that they don't let you decide to flee or let. I guess if you're going into the battle, it makes sense that you have to then select to flee, since you're the one like actively trying to escape. But if you ran into an enemy where you are over leveled, maybe if they would allow you to let the people go before you even go into the battle, that would make it a little bit faster.
It's interesting because these are random encounters, right? You don't see the enemies on the screen. They're just like, you take a few steps and randomly you're in a random encounter. So you can't avoid it. And it's like, if you're going to do that, like, if I'm going to let these things go anyway, why even bring up the battle? I don't know how you would fix that without actually having the enemies on screen. Because if enemies are on screen, they could see you. I think Tales of does this. At least some of them. The newer ones. If there's an enemy on the screen that sees you and you're way over leveled,
it'll try to run away.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes sense. Does Dragon Quest happen to do that? Because I know with Dragon Quest, you don't have random encounters because you can see the monsters roaming around the map. Or at least the ones I've played.
Yeah, the newer Dragon Quest do that. I don't remember if they have that if the enemies are under leveled if they run away. It's been a while.
That seems like it would be vaguely easy to program in.
Yeah.
If they detect that you're over certain levels above, then they're just going to push away from you.
Yeah. I think they do, but don't quote me on that. It's been so long since I've played a modern Dragon Quest. I played, what was it, Dragon Quest 11? And,
I think I played 9.
And Dragon Quest 8 on the 3DS, and I think they both had that. But yeah, that is an interesting, like, ideas to do for ways to get around these battles in RPGs like that, because yeah, it does get to the point where like, well, there's no point in fighting these guys if, you know, I don't want to grind or whatever. There should be a way to just mitigate having to deal with that all the time. And it's like, the thing about it is not so much like just having to fight it, but just like the time it takes to load into the battle, to flee or let go, and all that stuff. It's just a time tax, basically.
Does Yudian Chronicles not have something like Pokemon where if you don't want to battle randomly in a dungeon or something, you can put like
A repel.
a spray? Yeah, the repel spray or whatever.
Not that I've seen so far.
Although I always forget to use repels. But
I don't think anything like that has existed in Suikoden, so if they did have like something like that, it would be a new addition and a welcome one. But so far, no, I haven't seen anything like that.
okay.
It also has a thing of with item inventory, which, I don't mind inventory management in games like Fallout. I play Fallout a lot, and that has item management. But in this game, it's like you have 30 spaces, and this rune you pick up, and runes are basically like things you equip for spells, takes up the same amount of space as like 6 herbs for healing. This hat takes up the same amount of space as 2 revival things. It's kind of weird. And like sometimes you'll be just, exploring the dungeon, and it's like, oh, you're out of space, and like, oh god, I have to deal with this stuff now. Apparently there's a way to expand how much stuff you can carry, but I haven't gotten around to that. I'll have to look into that. Oh, another thing. Oh god, I don't want to keep complaining about this game because I want to like it, but there is another thing that drives me up the wall.
Have at it.
Okay, this is a thing that a lot of Japanese games do nowadays. I think the first time I seen this was in Xenogears, but they have the cute mascot character. So do you know what I'm talking about?
Like the cat in Persona?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or like Choo Choo in Xenogears, or those weird little bunny things in Xeno's Blade.
The rat bite?
No. Secret of Mana. Does Secret of Mana have any of those characters? Well, I haven't played any of the 3D ones, but...
You gotta remember, I don't play like any Japanese games, really.
Yeah.
So. Okay, so
Anyway,
cute mascot.
The cute there's like 3 main characters. One of the very important characters has one of these cute mascots, and its name is Pooby. And in typical Japanese manner, Pooby can only say its name.
Pooby.
So it's constantly saying Pooby or Poo, 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 Pooby. And I'm just like, I want to throttle this thing. I don't need this little cute character just interrupting dialogue with poo all the time. I just don't. I don't want to see that.
Poop.
It's just, I don't know, man. I'm too old. I know, I'm just an old jaded man, but like, I just want to hear the story and see like, oh, this country is struggling with this, tyrant, and like, yeah, this little weird bunny thing it's just, I don't like that.
Talking about like, I don't know, God forbid, genocide in some other country in this world, and poo.
Yeah, like there's like two different manners of having these cute characters, and one of them is like where they're just like Choo Choo in Xenogears is just got like a high pitched voice, but at least they talk. And then there's the other type, like this one, where they don't talk, they just make noise.
It's just a Pokemon.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh god, this is adding nothing. Did they make this little thing because they want to sell plushies at some point? Like, it doesn't add anything to the game.
Although, oddly enough, you could still make a cute little mascot thing that you turn into plushies and sell because consumerism. But it doesn't, like, make all these strange noises during, like, the game.
Yeah.
It can just sit there and be cute.
Actually, that is an interesting question. An example, what are some examples of mascot characters like that done right? Because I think Morgana in Persona 5...
He's just a regular character, or she is a regular character.
Yeah, she ends up being a regular part of the party, and like they have their own character arc, and they're not overly annoying. They're annoying in their own way, but like not so much so that I want them like just erased from history.
Well, there's Pikachu. I know you fucking hate Pikachu.
No, that's a whole different reason though.
The only other thing that came immediately to mind was, and this might not even count, which of the Phoenix Wright has that like mascot sign thing? Is like a blue character.
Oh
like,
yeah, the blue badger.
Does that count? Or is that not because it's not like a living creature?
No, I think that one doesn't count, at least not in my opinion, because it's like it's an in-game mascot for the police department. It's not a real living creature that's like hanging around with you and making dumb noises all the time. Mm-hmm. So I think that's fine. Like in universe, like, oh, this organization has a mascot. I like that kind of thing. That's fun.
As far as a little creature, what about was it Moogles or
Moogles, yeah, what
The
about them?
Koopa, like they have their little.
Yeah.
Do those count as cute little mascots? But they talk or is it just Koopa?
It depends what game they're in. In some games, yes, they talk. In some games, they can be full on fledged, like, party members. The first time I saw Moogle was in Final Fantasy VI, because I didn't get that far in Final Fantasy IV. But in Final Fantasy VI, one of the Kooples you can get is Mog. And yeah, I'm pretty sure he can just flat out talk, but they also just say Koopu. But of course, this is back in the day when there was no voiceovers, so that also helps a lot. It really depends on what game you're playing. Like, for example, in Final Fantasy IX, Moogles are like save points. So they're kind of like the frogs in Mother
Yeah.
3. You'll run into a Moogle and they have like their own little stories and characters, and it's cute. Like one time you run into a couple of Moogles that are like getting married, and one of them will still take the time to help you save your game.
Aw.
Sometimes you'll run into a Moogle that's traveling the country and he's like, having his own little adventure. And the Moogles in that game will be like, oh, you're on a quest or whatever, you're going places. Can you take this letter and deliver it to. They're all named. So, like, deliver this letter to Moggy. He's the Moogle that lives here where you're going. It's like, sure. And then you take the letter and you go to the save point and it's like, oh, you can deliver the letter to him. So it's really cute. I think Final Fantasy IX is probably my favorite implementation of Moogles.
Because when you brought up that the Moogles in that are similar to the frogs in Mother, there's a frog that's like in a little car just like beeping around, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That was like the first one I thought. I was like, oh shit, that's cute.
Yeah, I love those little frogs. And then like at the end of the game, you see like a montage of all of them, and like there was one of the save frogs was like eaten by by something else. I forget what ate him, but you like talk to the belly of this other creature, and he's like, "I've been eaten, but I can still save your game."
Oh my god. Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, that game was really good. Oh man, Mother 3 is so good.
Man, now I want to make like a little frog in a car amigurumi or something. I don't know how hard that would be. It would probably be ridiculously hard, but I think it'd be cute.
Remind me again, what is amagari? What did you just say?
Amigurumi. I mean, it's a Japanese word. It's just like when you crochet little toys.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Amigurumi. Yeah, it took me a long time to like go through and pronounce it correctly.
Going back to Moogles, there's another one you played actually. Was
Tactics Advance. I think.
Yeah,
That's the only time I've played a Final Fantasy game, and yeah,
there was
I
Moogles in
love
there.
The Moogles.
I mean they're fine in that game, but I've always had a weird view of Tactics Advance because like it's so different from.
Yeah, I know. It's little kid annoyances and not like intense church.
Yeah, political
shit.
stuff. Yeah, I was listening to another podcast that they're doing like basically a games club play of Final Fantasy Tactics, and I appreciate it because I've never played the PSP version that has the new translation. And at first I thought, oh, it's overly flowery. This new language that they put into the game is it's a bit too much for me. But hearing them talk about it and hearing them read out some of the lines.
Do you want to play it?
Yeah, they did a really good job. There's like a lot of like old timey like insults and banter and like stuff that is kind of like, I don't know, maybe not PG-13, but imagine like old timey like, how is this person gonna insult this other person? Like in the original version of the game, it's like, oh, you're an animal because like a noble is talking to like some peasant, and this noble is like being coded as a bad guy, right? It's like, oh, you dirty animal, animals don't deserve blah blah blah, whatever. It's very like quick and whatever. But in the new version, like this guy goes into some really flowery language, putting down these people, and like we'll revisit this one day because I think I do want to play that with you just to see the language and the story. And maybe just like not the full game because it's a long game, but like the first chapter, like it's like a prologue to see like where everything is kind of gone to hell.
Okay.
And just to see the language and talk about it because I find it really interesting what they did. And like I feel like whoever was working on localizing that new version and writing all this just had a ton of fun, and like they did a really good job. And I regret looking down on it and being like, we don't need that because it's actually really good. Anyway, maybe we should move on.
I don't know, because I was thinking I'm feeling guilt for not wanting to play something.
Oh yeah, the original topic.
Yeah. So we're back to that. I guess my thought when I was thinking of oh, what do I talk during this topic? The first thing that came up to mind was The Long Dark.
Hmm.
I remember I was looking at that and they had just come out with like a DLC for it or an update, whatever. And you ended up buying it for me, and I still have not yet gotten to the new DLC part.
Oh yeah, the new
Like, I did,
content.
yeah, because I tried multiple tries playing a new randomized game. And I would play for a little while, but I am so bad at the Long Dark that I would die before ever getting to the new place, and then I just got sick of it in that sense. But then in the other sense, I should be like, well, one, I can try the lowest level difficulty, which I know I have a bad problem of not choosing that. And then on top of it, I could just, instead of randomizing where I start the game, I should just probably start in the new area just to actually be able to see it.
Hmm. I don't know. It's
Oh,
tough with that game. Like I haven't played it in a while either, and it's like I kind of like the idea of a random start, but I also do like the idea of like the start in the beginning, like that zone with like the big lake and the little cabins with deer everywhere.
mm.
Like, cause that was like the first place I ever played, so that feels to me like World 1-1, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, I get it.
But like I don't know how far all the new content is either, so it would have to be like just even finding it would be a quest.
Yeah, see, the thing, like, you want to start either in the lake area, which I'm not going to remember any of these places' names, or you start on the long road that has, like, all those houses, like the old granny's house, because there are so many houses, and you can, probably end up gathering plenty of items to try and, keep up your resources in order to, like, survive winter and all the storms and shit. But then, like, yeah, the new place, which the toxic area or whatever, is so far away, and like, I just, I just can't manage to survive that long. And it's
Hmm.
like, but then I'm like, okay, maybe I should just start a new game, and maybe I'll do that later today or tomorrow, whenever. But then at the same time, it's like, do I start there? It sounds like it's a harder area. If I don't manage to find the radioactive gear or whatever in order to protect myself, I'm just gonna fucking drop dead anyways.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Fungu, what do I do?
Well, I mean, I think this goes back to the whole feeling guilt thing. Like you don't feel like you have to play it. Like I think I've come to terms with the fact that like I'm just gonna play what I want to play, and when I have the energy to play this other game, I will.
No, I know, but it's also the aspect of how much did we pay for that DLC? 20,
I don't know. It wasn't.
30?
It,
But like, it's just the fact that we spent money on it. And
the,
I haven't even touched it yet, and that makes me feel like shit
well,
because money is tight.
the thing is, you did still play the Long Dark, and you got to experience all the new stuff that was added. Sure, they added a new location, but they added a bunch of other like stuff to the game, and I forget
I
what
know
it
they added
was.
scurvy, but
Yeah, like new foods and a bunch of other random stuff I don't remember off the top of my head. So it wasn't just the new location. There was other gameplay mechanics that they added that
I
you got to
guess.
experience. I did buy that for you, but I also bought it thinking that one day I would play it again. So I'm not like, I don't know. I'm not like, oh, I'm so bitter because you didn't get the thing that I bought for you. It's just more
No, I
like
know.
it's there for us one day. So
Eventually.
I don't want you to feel like you need to play it if you don't want to, because like I don't remember the last time I played Uden Chronicle. Like it's been days, and what have I been doing? I just been playing Fallout.
No, I know. It's just, I guess there's a difference of like if someone buys you the DLC or you buy it for yourself.
Hmm.
And it's just like, you're the one making the money. So if you buy something for me, I feel like, I don't know. I just feel bad if I don't play it or
Well,
something. Whereas,
trying.
like, I can look at the games and, like, oh, this game's on sale for $8. But I'm like, yeah, I can't afford it. So I'm just not going to buy it.
No, don't feel bad, sweetie. I just. If you want to play games, I want you to play what you want to play. Like I'm still playing Fallout 76, which is crazy, but I'm probably gonna stop soon. I don't know. There's the new big expansion is coming out next month.
You've been doing a lot of stuff with other people too, right? Like I've seen you in vaguely groups, or are they like just other people doing the same event?
Doing the same events. Like there's the new event this update is Meat Week, which is really funny because it's
Meat
just
week,
yeah, Meat Week.
as in MEAT.
Yeah,
Oh,
as in meat, like food.
yeah.
one of the super mutants named Graham, and his little cow pet, I think is, what does he call it? Charlie the Moo Moo. So he's like always singing to her in his like super mutant voice. It's really, really funny and cute. They did such a.
You'll have to show me.
Fallout is such a goofy game. Like, I know people who don't like have any experience with it. They think, oh, post-apocalypse, it's probably depressing. But this is just like this big green dude, and he's like singing about cooking meat, and he's like telling the people, oh, or telling Charlie like, don't worry, Charlie, there's no moo moo meat in this soup. And then he's like, human, don't tell Charlie what's in the soup.
Oh God, there is moo moo in the soup.
But then sometimes he'll be like, I only eat meat, but I know some humans only eat vegetables. I don't know why, but I understand. And it's just so cute. It's so silly. It's so funny. I love Graham and Charlie the Moo Moo. So yeah, the this week, or for I think it's 2 weeks actually, it's the meat week, and like every so often it's like, oh, time to help Graham do his, big barbecue. So you go there and you can help clean up or deliver meat or like help cook or even just play music. It's really easy, and you just get some random rewards like food, but also stuff to make, like equipment to make weapons and stuff. It's goofy. It's really lighthearted, and it's just nice. So sometimes, yeah, you'll just show up and there's a ton of people there because it's easy. And then sometimes, like, this is something I really like about Fallout 76, unlike a game like other MMOs or other multiplayer games where, like, you kind of have to set up groups. In Fallout, it's like, yesterday there was this quest line where it's like, oh, you're investigating this sheep squatch, which is what it sounds like, a Sasquatch that's a sheep, right?
Yeah.
Because there's this cryptid hunter. So you're following this quest line about this guy who's like hunting for this cryptid, and it turns out it's some military equipment or something. It's one of the Assaultrons, except it has a freaking like sheep clothing on for some reason. It's silly.
Like it's a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Exactly. They even go into that because like one of the guy's code names that's like running the program is the Big Bad Wolf.
Oh jeez.
And it's this whole thing. Anyway, the sheep squatch is an Assaultron, which for people who don't know Fallout, it's basically this robot that has like, it's a humanoid robot and it can shoot lasers out of its face. So in this quest, you're like finding out what is this sheep squatch and what is going on, and you find out it's a robot, and it's like, it's very dangerous. We need to recall it and get it back to the base. So we have to use this recall code. Blah 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 blah. But it's a big boss basically. So I was doing the quest, and I get to the final part, which is the big boss, and it's basically, I don't know if you could solo it, but the game basically is like, oh, you're triggering this boss. We're going to send a server-wide announcement. I forget what the quest is called, but basically everyone on that server knows, oh, the sheep squatch quest is active. It'll show up on the map, and it basically lets players teleport to you for free. So I activate the quest, and I'm just waiting, and like people are just showing up. I don't have to talk. I don't have to get into chat. I don't have to be on mic. People know that it's happening. I don't have to party up. They just show up. They help. We take it down, and we all go on with our lives. And that's how I like to play multiplayer games.
That's fair.
Like, most of the time when I'm playing Fallout, I just want to be alone in the wasteland, just wandering around, collecting stuff, building stuff. But Fallout 76 does have that where, like, for big bosses or whatever, or big events, it's basically the server kind of handles it. It's like, hey guys, this big thing is going on. If you want to come help, you can come help. You don't have to, like, ask permission to join a group. You don't have to schedule things with people. It just kind of happens naturally.
That happens in Guild Wars too, doesn't it? There's world events that happen.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, this big thing's happening near you. Go find it. Or
yeah,
whatever.
Basically like that, except it's for, like, the whole world. So you don't have to be, like...
I guess Fallout 76 is a little bit smaller than...
True.
Elder Scrolls.
It's a big world, but it's a different scale. So yeah.
Guild Wars.
I just been having fun with that, and like with Meat Week happening in Graham, one of the things you can get for the rewards is like decorations for your house. So I've unlocked 2 new plushies. So I got this like pig plush. I'm like, oh, gotta make room in my little cabin for the pig plush. And this other plush, I forget what it was. Like, my house is just full of like decorations and clutter. So it's fun. There's always like something kind of like I want to do.
You'll have to show me the pig plush, because if we go over the games we've been playing, there's something vaguely similar.
You know what? I am kind of going over what I've been playing, so why don't you go? What have you been playing? I know you've been playing something.
Yeah, so I've been, again, trying to get more into, I guess you would, yeah, there's not that many people in this game, so it's definitely going to be an indie game. I've been playing Death and Taxes.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe I received that in the Yogs Cast, the last 2023 Yogs Cast
Jingle Jam.
Jingle Jam. That's it. Thank you. The Jingle Jam package. So you do the donation for, I think is like $32 or something equivalent, because they technically do it in British pounds. And then you get all the games and stuff. And I believe
That's for charity.
Taxes, yes, and I believe Death and Taxes came in through there. So I was like, okay, want to play more indie games? Let's do this one. It's another game that is more point and click than anything. There's a lot of talking in it, slow talking. So
voiceover or
yes, voiceover. That's why it's slow. So if you're not into listening to voiceovers for just how they sound and want to just click through the text, you can do that, but sometimes it goofs up a little bit.
Yeah,
It's a
that's
good
me.
game. So it's a pretty short game. I've played through it twice and I'm just under 6 hours. So usually I don't play games twice. But this one was interesting because it's got multiple endings. Went through the first ending playing as how I would personally want to play the game. So it turned out to be like some of the more better endings. So good endings, if you will. And then I played through the second time and I'm like, well, because at the end of the game you can see which ending you get. And then it'll show like, oh, there's all these different other ending scenes that you can get and like percentages of who got them and stuff. So I'm like, well, I did the good one. I guess I'll see the complete opposite, which is bad. So you're playing as a Reaper who gets born and created, however you want to put it. And, well, you're a Reaper, so your job is to be a Reaper and decide. A Grim Reaper. What other Reaper would there be?
I don't know, reaping like wheat in the fields.
No. So you're a Grim Reaper. And you get to decide who lives and who dies. So you'll work at this desk and you get the faxes in and you'll get all these different people's profiles and it'll have a little explanation of this person. They'll have like their name, their age, and a little description of what they do for work or what they're up to in life or what have you. And it also has like a little black and white picture, which I guess is like they might be set to like the actual name, because you'll see multiple names if you play it multiple times. Or if you let a certain person live, they might be faxed in again at a later point, and it's the same name, the same picture. But it's kind of like the pictures also are like, they look like they're from a character picker, I guess. They're not super customized. I don't know. It's they look a certain way. I don't know how else
like a
to put it.
template.
Yes, a template. Thank you. And an interesting thing that can come up in the dialogue with your boss, if you will, who is Fate. You can actually, at some point, ask Fate, like, why aren't any of these profiles named with, like, it doesn't use the he or she pronouns, it just goes with they for everyone. I forget if I picked that exact dialogue and if he said something. There's so much dialogue you can go through and, like, different types of dialogue, and you can have like 4 to 5 different choices for each type of thing. And it's fun and it's great to see the different answers, but I am not capable of remembering all the different varieties of stuff. But I do know that does come up. I just don't remember the answer. So you're Reaper, you work at the table, you're doing all this bureaucracy shit. Your boss is Fate, you go see them every night after work to get your evaluation, and you get paid if you follow the rules of who lives and who dies. You'll get a paper saying, okay, this amount of humans have to die, or these specific humans with this job type have to live, and stuff like that. So the first time I played through, I followed the rules as you were given. And then, of course, you can also go through the game and decide not to follow the rules. I won't go into too many specifics. I'll just say if you go to one extreme, you're gonna get fired. Which I did get the achievement. There's 60 achievements. I think I'm at like 28 or something. If you're into achievement getting or anything. I just like some of them because they're There's like one achievement for having loyalty with fate. There's what was the? I think there's an achievement for saying you like ice cream. Like
Weird.
one of the dialogue
You know,
options.
achievements is going to be something I'm going to deep dive into one day, but not to get into it here.
Yeah, I know you don't like it. It's fine. And where was I going with this? See, this is kind of why I talked about I should like figure out what I'm talking about. Actually, I did take notes. Let me see. I should open those up and give it a shot. Okay, let's see. The new game plus. Oh, I don't know if this comes up in the regular new game. It might have, and I just forgot about it. But I did the new game plus to play the second time, and it starts with lemon, spice, and human eyes. So that's obviously a Powerpuff Girls parody type of thing. Fate's voice, very nice but really slow. But I just like how he accentuates things.
Is Fate the cat?
No, that's Lady Portington or something. So I tried to go in the super bad route, which I'm sure you can guess what exactly that means. And yeah, that's the one that gets you fired. Because Faye's like, you're just, what the fuck are you doing? This is not what you're supposed to be doing. I still have this. Okay, so another thing is you can, with the money that you make, if you follow the rules correctly, because if you goof up the rules, you don't get paid anything. It's either you get paid or you get paid nothing. There's no like in between. And then if you go down, there's a pirate skeleton named Mortimer. Yeah, Mortimer. And I also love his voice. And he has items you can buy. Some of them are costumes, which are way more elaborate than I originally thought the costumes would be. And then there's items that you can just put on your desk to kind of look cute, I guess, if you will. And other items that like are supposed to help you in some ways. Like there's a big eraser, so if you like mark someone for death and you're like, oh shit, I didn't want to do that, you can use the big eraser once to undo that, and then I guess it goes away. I bought that item. I never actually ended up using it. There's actually another item, a lamp, and supposedly I thought it said something to the effect of if you mark someone's profile and then you put it underneath the lamp, you'll see symbols underneath the text, like it's like invisible ink type of thing almost. But I don't understand how it works, because every time I put a profile, whether before I marked it for life, before I marked it for death, and then afterwards, it was always the same 4 symbols, and there didn't seem to be any indication of it changing at all, so I'm not entirely sure what that was. Either I didn't get it or there was some kind of glitch where it didn't work. I don't know. Then there's a snow globe that it has pluses and minuses. I guess it's not hopefully too much of a spoiler to say it's like when you mark someone to live or to die, it'll show in the snow globe how things are going.
Okay.
So I didn't have that the first go around, but I saved up enough money the second time. And because of the way I was going, everything was on fire. So that's interesting to see. There's a little, and this is kind of what brought me into this earlier. There's a little, you don't buy it from Mortimer, you get it from the barkeep, because there's a bar that's open up on the weekends. You can talk to the barkeep, and depending on which choices you pick, you can get this little, I guess it's supposed to be a piggy bank. So it's literally a little piggy that you put on your desk, and it just kind of sits there. Sometimes it oinks, I guess. And there was something about if you didn't feed it certain coins that you only get in like the first playthrough, it would multiply. So I was actually worried that it was gonna like multiply every day, but I think it stops at like 2 or 3 little piglets. So I have on my desk this big piglet piggy bank, and then there's like 2 or 3 little piglets like behind it. Thankfully, it didn't continue, because that would have been fucking hilarious to have just like the entire desk covered in little piglets. Maybe they should have did that. I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like there's a downside.
Well, you have this one desk, but you have shit piling up on your desk. You have all these trinkets that you end up buying. Well, if you choose to. All these little trinkets. Because I got like a little fidget spinner, and there's actually an achievement having to do with that. I might test it later. Then there's like this little cactus, which also has an achievement that I'll try later. There's a lot of little achievements, but it's like you can obviously hover over the achievements that aren't like, I guess, secret. I don't know if they have any, and it'll tell you exactly how you get it. So I'm like, oh, okay, I know how to unlock that, so maybe I'll just try it later.
Get those good boy points.
Yes, good boy
The
points.
worthless good boy
No,
points.
I don't even like. It's not even for points or something. I just like the little icon it uses. It's just cute.
Good boy icon.
Fine.
Just teasing.
I know. Where was I going with this? Oh God, another reason I'm so bad at this. So in the first playthrough, you can figure out Fate has his own ideas of what he wants to happen. Even though he's not the highest in the bureaucracy, there's like others above him. And he's trying to do his own thing. So there's that whole storyline I'll try not to spoil. Oh, there's a little bit of movement in the game. Like, it's mostly point and click. And even the movement itself is point and click. But there's like this elevator that you get in to move between the levels of the tower, if you want to call it that. And it's not like a huge thing, but when I first started playing the game, the controls control the opposite of what I would think it would be. But then once you finally get used to it, and then I'm like, okay, I guess I can just think of the movement in this way. Like, you're in an elevator the entire time. You just click on rooms, but you yourself don't actually move there. It's just like go into the room, whatever. And instead of clicking above the elevator to, like, if you will, pull the elevator up, clicking above the elevator will push it down. Whereas if you want to go up, you click underneath the elevator to push it up.
Weird.
Yeah, I thought it would have been the opposite, but then I think of it and I'm just like, well, if I think of it in the hand cursor in the sense of like pushing air and then it just kind of floats the elevator up.
Okay.
I don't know. It's a very minor thing, but that's just something I noticed at the very beginning. I'm like, wait, this is going the opposite way. What was the other thing? Oh, there was also... Now, the voices in the game, especially for Fate and Mortimer, they're all pretty equal. There's the barkeep, which I forgot their name. They have a very feminine voice. I forgot if they ever use pronouns for any of the NPCs. They have a very feminine voice, but for some reason, I don't know if it was necessarily the recording voiceover that was too low, or because I know when working in Game Maker, you can dictate the volume of the recording via programming. But there were points where I was trying to listen to their voice and it seemed super soft for no discernible reason. So that might have just been a goof up on someone's behalf. And there was also the thing where, what was it? The voice, if you click the last dialogue for, say, Fate or the barkeep or any NPC, it'll go to dark, but it won't go to the next, like it won't cut off the voice. The voice will keep playing, and then once the voice is done, then it'll go to black and go to the next screen, if that makes any sense. And in the bar, for whatever reason, if you finish talking with one of the NPCs or the barkeep, it'll like slow to black to get to refresh the screen, and then it'll flash again. Like it's updating twice for some reason instead of just updating the once.
Is it like a glitch?
It might be a glitch. It's not a huge thing. Like, it's just a visual thing that happens real quick. So it's not like you don't get stuck or anything. It's just something I noticed. So there's like slight glitches like that, but nothing game breaking. Everything works fine. It's just a little different than what I would expect it to be.
Okay.
So I mean, it's a good game. I don't know how much it originally costs, but I'm assuming whatever it costs, even like if you just get it on sale or something, I would say definitely do it. If you like point and click and don't mind listening to voices. And also, like, if you don't mind playing multiple games to get multiple endings, where at least in this one playthrough, I'd say it takes maybe 3 to 4 hours, so it's not like the longest thing. It's not like playing one of your JRPGs for 40 hours and then there's like multiple endings you can get or something.
Yeah.
So you can go through the multiple endings pretty quickly. Again, I've done 2 and I'm still under 6 hours, so say 3 hours each play. I would recommend it. It's cute. It's, one thing I was gonna say, I don't think I put this in my notes, but now I can at least remember. Last time I had played A Mortician's Tale, and I was taking care of the dead, and now I decided I'm going to play the other side of this type of...
death game?
Yeah, a different type of death game. So instead of just taking care of the death after they die, I'm the one that decides if they live or die.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe if I go through just for some of the achievements, because herp derp, maybe I'll do the opposite in that for the second playthrough, I decided to go with the bad ending, but I wonder what would happen if I tried to let everyone live. I'd probably also get fired, but maybe a different kind of fired. Also, there's like other things, and this is a thing where like playing it multiple time comes in. There's also your conscious, because you have like a mirror changing room and there will be a cloud and you can click on the cloud and have dialogue with the cloud. I didn't quite get it at the beginning because it seems very, maybe I'm just a little dense, or maybe they made it that way on purpose, but I didn't quite understand what the hell the cloud was getting at with some of its dialogue. And then I returned yesterday just to finish up the last week, because you only play for quote unquote an end game month. Finished up the last week, and then I was understanding more of what it was trying to get at with my super bad playthrough. But there's the conscious that you talk with.
Your conscience?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be yourself, but like at the same time it's trying to be your conscience, but while I'm going through, I'm having my own thoughts in real life of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm not seeing things from its perspective. So I'm like, why would you bring this up, or why would you know to say this?
Interesting.
I don't know.
So it's like it's
kind of confusing.
You're your own character who normally makes your own decisions, but they also are their own character who makes their decisions independent of you. Like you're not your own character in a way.
I guess it's like, I don't know how to explain it. I think it's supposed to be your conscious, but then you're also like answering it back. It's, I don't know.
I guess
it's
that kind of makes sense.
Kind of confusing.
I mean, you often see that in media where like your conscious is trying to guide you to do, good or bad or whatever, and it's like you're having a conversation with yourself. So maybe it makes sense that like you aren't in full control of, well, what your conscience is thinking or something. I don't know.
Maybe.
I guess it's fine.
I guess you'd have to play it. Maybe you can understand it a little bit better than I try to.
I'm sure you're fine.
I was like, why are you stating things this way? And I don't know, whatever. And then there's certain there's gonna be another ending that has to do, because you start going through the profiles and most of them are all the same, and then you get these special profiles and they're color coded, and it's like those special color coded profiles are someone else trying to talk to you as well, trying to state these things. Like they're like, oh, how do I say this without getting too spoilery? This other person is trying to delude you or something, so if you understand what I'm trying to say, mark this person for life or death. And then you continuously get more of those profiles as time goes on. So I'm almost thinking if I should do a quick playthrough and follow those profiles, but I never did figure out who is trying to contact me through those. So I don't know. There's just a lot of stuff going on in a game that's pretty short.
Well, yeah, I guess that means multiple replays if you want to.
Yeah, I know, and I'm debating like, oh god, do I want to do multiple playthroughs? But I am kind of curious, but then it's a whole month of in-game playtime to go through, and oh god, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's confusing. I'm not good at this. I'm sorry.
Oh, don't worry about it. You just, hey, video games are supposed to be unwinding and fun, so if you don't want to anymore, then don't. It's fine. It's like me.
I don't want to take the time, but I'm curious.
There's also YouTube.
I suppose maybe I'll find if someone interesting is also playing that.
I was thinking about that for Eden Chronicles, because like to get the best ending, you have to recruit all the characters, but one of the characters you have to do this Beyblade mini game, and it's like very tedious apparently. And I'm like, I don't know if I have the energy for this, so I'll probably just get the regular ending or bad ending and just look at the good ending. But hey, you know what? That's a whole other discussion, and we are already really tight on time, so I think on that note, on the topic of time and replays and what the hell are we doing with our lives?
Okay, well, in that case, let's end this week with something a little more calming. Not that the other songs weren't calming, just this one is super calming. It's basically a music box, if you will. So I'm going to choose for this week's ending song, Kirby's Epic Yarn, Kirby's Pad. Good night.
Bye-bye.